So, did you all get it pretty much easy?
Yes. Can I get my burger from that?
Okay, so it should be 1 over y dy, then 6x squared dx. Okay, then you integrate both sides, you get ln absolute value y, x cubed with a 2 plus c. Then you e both sides. Then the thing that we learned yesterday is that that c moves down to the front. So you would have y equals
2x.
good. Okay, then from there, you're plugging in your points, so it'd be 8 equals c e to the 2 times 0 cubed. E to the 0 is a 1, which means 1c is 8, then c is 8. So your equation is this.
Did you post the video on YouTube?
I did, but I only got like the first half of notes, and then I ran out of memory on my computer. So.
Are you still using that new app?
Yeah, I don't know. My life is ruined now that Ladybug stopped working, which was what I used to use. Okay, go to number 7. Okay, look at number 7. Okay, we have 2 more to do, and then we get to start working on your CPA review. Okay, Angel, what do I do first?
You wasn't here yesterday.
Okay, so what do I do first then, people that were here on number 7? It's not separated. I have to separate it, but I can only separate when the x and y stuff is multiplied or divided. So addition does not work. What could I do? Okay, look at it. Factor. Factor what out? Okay, so look, I'm going to GCF out. Now, you can take out the 4, but I'm going to only take out the x cubed. Okay, remember, actually, we can take it out, I guess. So, 4x cubed comes out. What's left over? Okay, I have a 4y, or just a y, and then plus 3. Okay, Kane. Come on, dude. Come on. Okay, so 4x cubed comes out, y plus 3 is left over. Now I can separate. But I can separate because my x and y stuff are multiplied. That's what counts as separable, okay, or divided. So when I get rid of my y plus 3, where does it end up? Okay, 1 over y plus 3 dy. 4x cubed dx. Then I have to do an integral on both sides. Okay, the left side, what method are you going to need? Okay, chain rule, but what's it called for integrals? You know it. Okay, u is y plus 3. What does that make du? 1 dy, which means that dy and du are the same, yeah? So dy equals du. So I'm going to rewrite my integral 1 over u du, which means the integral is ln u. Are we good with that? Okay, now notice, no plus c, because I am putting it on the x side. Okay, other side, what's the antiderivative of 4x cubed? X fourth plus c. Okay, and then for my last step, I would say, okay, well then the ln of y plus 3 is x4 plus c. What do I do next from there? So I put my y plus 3 back in. Now I need to get y by itself. Yep, put an e base on both sides. E and ln cross out. And then the thing that we learned yesterday is we're not going to leave our c here. Good. So I have y plus 3 equals ce to the x4, then minus the 3 across to the back. That is your general solution, is ce to the x4 minus 3. Now, my ordered pair is 0, 4. So 4 is the answer when I plug in a 0. And then e to the 0 is still 1. So that's still a 1c, which means that 4 equals c minus 3. Then c is 7. Okay, that's a good question. Remember, the plus or minus goes away when I move the c to the front, Because remember, we don't know what C is, then it could be plus or minus. So if you wanted to put the plus or minus here, you could on the C, but it's kind of pointless because once you find what C is, you'll know if it's plus or minus anyway. Okay? So my equation would be y equals 7e to the x4 minus 3. Okay, good with that? All right, we have one more left. Turn the page. It's an FRQ question from the AP test.
Ew.
And then after that, you guys can start on your CBA review for the rest of class. Okay? So, turn the page, look at it. First thing it says, the rate at which a puppy gains weight is proportional to the difference between its adult weight and its current weight. Okay, so even though they gave us the equation later, I want us to just practice writing it. Okay, what would we say about the rate puppy gains weight? What would we call that? D, P dt. Okay, for like the change in the puppy's weight. Okay, then it says it's proportional, equals K. Proportional to a difference. What am I doing if I have a difference? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. I'm subtracting what? The adult weight and the current weight. So I'm just going to put adult minus current. Okay, now think about, it would suck if you had to write that, because if you don't know how to write it, you're totally screwed. So look ahead. They give you the equation right here. What is my K if they gave me the equation? 1/5. And what is the puppy's adult weight? 75. So what's P stand for? The current weight. And dPdt is how fast that weight's changing. Okay? So it says, use separation of variables to find y equals P of t, the solution to the differential equation, with the initial condition P of 0 is 3. What this means is that at time 0, the puppy weighed 3 pounds. Okay, now look right here. It says it. When the puppy's first born, what's its weight? 3 pounds. That's this point that they're giving you right here. Okay? So first thing I need to do is separate. Let's look at our differential equation. dP dt equals 1/5 75 minus P. How will I separate that as my first step? Think about the one we just did. Yeah. So which piece has to move? P, but I have to move the entire chunk that has P in it. So this entire chunk has to move. And if it's on the top, I have to divide it across. So it would be a 1/75 minus P dP. Other side is 1/5, and then remember my dt is also on the wrong side, so I'll move that up here. Okay, then what do I do from there? Okay, integral, what do I need to use on the left? Okay, it will be an ln, but I gotta u sub it. Because remember, it's not just 1/p, it's 1 over an expression with p in it. So my u is 75 minus p. What does that make my du? -1 dp. Which means that dp is actually du over -1. Are we good with that? You could just put negative du. That would be fine. Now, technically, where am I going to put the negative? I'm going to put it way on the outside of the integral anyway. So I'm going to do negative integral 1 over u du. What's the antiderivative of 1 over u? Negative ln u. And then I change my u back to a what? 75 minus p. Okay, now let's do the right side. Okay, integral of 1/5, easy. What's that? 1/5 t plus c. Now, if you don't want to rewrite that a bunch of times, just drop your little arrow to show. That side stayed the same. Okay, from here, can I, yes or no, e both sides? I can't do it with the negative. So how do I get rid of the negative? Yeah, just multiply everything by -1. So now my ln is positive 75 minus p. And then my 1/5 is negative. Do I change the sign on my c? No, just leave it.
You don't change it with the 75 minus p because it's absolute.
because it's inside an ln. So when I'm multiplying it on this front term here. Okay, then from there, now I can e both sides, and then remember the trick we learned with the c, it's going to drop down to the front. So e and ln are gone. I have 75 minus p equals c e to the negative a fifth t. Okay, and then as Stephen pointed out, remember those absolute value bars go away because my c, I don't know what it is plus or minus anyway. 2 more steps. What's next? Minus the 75, and then I'm done? Multiply by negative 1. Okay, so to get rid of that negative, I end up having to times by negative 1 again. So now my p turns positive. Do I change the sign on my c? No. Don't change the sign on your fifth t. That's up in the exponent anyways. But my minus 75 will now be a plus 75. That's your general solution. Then what's the ordered pair that they gave us? P of 0 is 3. Now, sometimes people are like, oh, well, if that's a 3, then C is 3. That is not always true. Sometimes it's true, not always. Let's see if it's true here. Okay, I'm going to plug in 3 is the puppy's weight. C e to the negative fifth of 0 plus 75, that's a 1. So then really I have 3 equals 1c plus 75. That 75 makes a difference. What does my c come out to be? Not 3, 72. Negative 72, because I have to minus it across. Does that make sense? So if your equation isn't ce to the kt, then be really careful about making assumptions of what c is. So c is negative 72, then p is negative 72, e to the negative a fifth t plus 75. That's an actual AP question, so I would say that's kind of like the level to expect. The other thing a lot of times that they'll do is they'll pick weird letters. So like instead of dy dx, they'll pick like dp dt and make it about a puppy to try to change the letters up, okay? Yes?
You know how you first had us like write the equation, so like make it our own, like put dp and stuff on top?
Uh-huh.
Are there going to be questions like that?
Okay, that's a great question. So the only time that they would make you write your own is if it were multiple choice and it was just one question. For an FRQ, the reason they won't do that is that if you can't write that equation, you literally can't do the whole rest of the problem. So the only time that they might make you make your own would be multiple choice. And they've only done it a handful of times in like the last 15 years. Okay? All right, come down to part B. They're asking me to do a tangent line approximation to predict the weight of the puppy at 42. What 2 ingredients do I need for a tangent line? Okay, a point and a slope. Now, they gave me dp dt. dp dt is the point or the slope. That's the slope. So I'm going to put dp dt here. Okay, I need the point. Look at what they gave me. Let's make a point out of it. At time 40, the puppy weighs 20. What is the point? 40, 20. Because remember, your time is the x value, and then the puppy's weight is the y value. So I have my point, 40, 20. I need my slope, which means that I want dp dt at 40, 20. And then remember, we have our dp dt right here. So I would do a fifth, 75 minus, and then what will I plug in for my letter P? Will I use the 40 or the 20?
20.
20, because that's the puppy's weight. That's the P. Does that make sense? Remember, P is kind of like your Y. So I'm not going to use the 40. I'm only going to use the 20. What is 75 minus 20? 55. And what is a fifth of 55? 11. And then I can write my equation of my tangent line from there. Y minus 20, 11 is my slope, x minus 40. And then normally they give you a decimal to plug in. What are they telling you to plug in this time? 42. What's 42 minus 40? 42. So I have y minus 20 equals 11 times 2. What do I do with the minus 20? Add it across, so y equals 11 times 2 is 22, plus 20 more, which is 42. So at time 42, the puppy would weigh about 42 pounds using that model. Okay? All right, last question. Use d squared p dt squared. What does that mean?
Second derivative.
Okay, second derivative. To determine whether your estimate, your tangent line, is an over or an underestimate. Okay, remember, that's concavity. Okay, we need concavity. So, dp dt, I'm going to rewrite it here, was a fifth 75 minus p. If I take the derivative of that, what rule do I need? Product rule. But if I can avoid it, I should. How can I make that not a product anymore? Well, we don't want to separate anything. Could I just distribute? Yeah? Just take the fifth out of the front, just times it in. So a fifth times 75. Okay, just pretend like you know what that is, even if you don't, okay? And then a fifth of p. Now, here's why I don't care what this number is. What am I about to do to b t dt? If I have dp dt and I want d squared p dt squared, I'm about to take the derivative. So when I multiply this out, this is a number. What's the derivative of that number? 0. So I don't even care what it is. You can think about it if you want to. Okay, but the second derivative, that's going to be 0. And then what's the derivative of negative a fifth p? Be careful here. What's the derivative of a fifth x? Negative 1/5. Okay, good. But then what do I have to multiply by because it was a p? D p dt. Do you remember when you take the derivative of y stuff, you have to add a dy dx? It's the same thing here. So if this is negative a fifth p, then the derivative is negative a fifth dp dt. Now, from there, we want to know concavity. What was dp dt up here? 11. So if I plug in an 11 here, I'm not even going to write the 0. You can if you want to. Okay, but it's negative a fifth of 11. Well, is that going to be concave up or concave down then? Down. Because negative a fifth of 11 is negative. That means that p is concave down around the point that I used, which was 40, 20. So, where is the tangent line on a concave down graph? Above. And remember, you can draw the picture, but that doesn't count. You have to explain it. So you would say P is concave down around the point, so the tangent line is above. I'm going to put it's an overestimate, but you could say it's above the actual value. Okay, concave down, your tangent line will always cut above where the graph is. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right, so that being said, we're going to do more word problems next week just to kind of finish it up. But right now we're going to switch over to reviewing for your CBA.
Is this going to be on the test?
This is, so that's a great question. Your CBA has several where you're solving with separation of variables, but none of them are word problems like this. Okay, we'll practice the word problem stuff more. Okay, so take a look at your CBA review. What do we want to do? Do you want to just kind of work on it?
Yeah.
Okay. I will help you if you have ones you think you need help on. We have today and we have Monday in class. You take it on Tuesday.
And we have our half day on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Wednesday's a half day. So you want to do any of the front page together or skip it?
I want to do something, have a refresher.
Okay. So on the front, I'd say probably number 4 is the hardest. Okay. So what would I pick as my U for number 4? Okay, pick the middle, 2x squared minus 1. Then du is the derivative of that, which is 4x dx. Which means that dx is going to be du over 4x. So far, so good? Okay, let's rewrite our integral. So I have the integral of 8x on top, cubic root of u on bottom, and then my dx is a du over 4x. So far, so good? Okay, what is 8x divided by 4x? 2 in the front. What about the x's? Cancel out. So I have 2 times the integral of 1 over cubic root u. We can't leave it like that. We need to turn it into a power. What is the cubic root of u in the denominator as a power? U to the negative 1/3. So it's a third because of the root, and then it's negative because it's on the bottom. Okay, then add 1 to that, which is the same as adding 3/3. What is negative 1/3 plus 3/3? U to the 2/3. And then if I divide by 2/3, what am I multiplying by? 3 halves multiplied by the 2. Oh, don't forget the plus c. So it'd just be a 3 in the front. So I want 3u to the 2/3, and then put your u back, plus c. And then look at your choices. It is A. Good. And now notice someone asked in second period about the squared, if it's inside or outside. It doesn't matter as long as they put parentheses. So if they moved the 2 to like be here, that would be fine. It doesn't matter. They're both good. Yeah. Okay. Anything else off the front? You want to do one with endpoints? Or maybe turn the, is there one with endpoints? Huh?
All of them in the front needs use on.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's do number 8 with the trig. What would you pick as your u for number 8? Okay, 2 theta, good. So u is going to be 2 theta. What does that make du? 2 d theta, good job. Which means d theta is du over 2, right? Okay, rewrite your integral. So I have 4 cosine u, and then I have a du over 2. The 4 divided by 2 can come to the front. What's 4 divided by 2? 2 integral cosine u du. And then what's the integral of cosine? Regular sine. Now, at this point, you have a choice. I like changing my endpoints. That's how I'm going to do it. But if you bring this back to be a 2 theta, then you can use the original endpoints. Nobody cares. Okay, but I like plugging it in and changing them, so that's what I'm going to do. So if I have a 4 pi and I plug into a 2, now it's 2 pi fourths. What's my new upper endpoint? Pi halves. Okay, think about why that is. I'm plugging these in here. So I have 2 pi fourths, which is pi halves. Okay, now plug in pi sixths. 2 pi sixths is pi thirds. And then what do I do with those endpoints? I'm going to plug them in, then I'm going to subtract. So plug in pi halves first. What's the sign of pi halves? Pi halves is your thumb. Everybody's on bottom, so it's a 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Next one is pi thirds. Pi thirds is your pointer finger. Signs on bottom. I have root 3 over 2. But if I multiply root 3 over 2 times 2, I just get root 3. And then I subtract those 2, so I'm looking for option A. Okay? Next one I want you to try is number 9. Okay, go ahead and give number 9 a shot. Okay, there are several questions like this on your AP test. Okay, number 9. Which one can you pretty much automatically throw out? Where the endpoints never changed? A and B are out. There's no way those endpoints should have stayed the same. So that has to be a mistake, so I'm down to 2. So they're even telling me what to pick as U. U is 3 minus 2x, then what's du? So it'd be negative 2 dx, which means dx is du over negative 2. And then when I come back to rewrite my integral, I would say, okay, well, I want the integral of sine u du over negative 2, and then that needs to move to the front, yeah? So I see the negative half in the front, that looks good. I see the sine, that's good. Okay, but now I need to plug in my endpoints. So if I plug in 4 on the top, what is, it needs to go into this right here. What is 3 minus 2 times 4? That'd be 3 minus 8, which is negative 5. And then the other one I need to plug in is 0. What is 3 times negative 2 times 0? 3, which is on bottom, so it has to be C. Okay, so remember, if they ask you to rewrite the integral or figure out which one's equivalent, you're not actually doing the integral, you're just resetting it up. Okay? How do I find average value? Number 11. Is that A-Rock? No. Average value is 1 over, integral a to b f of x. Okay?